Hey everyone, good morning, Alex here, and today I'd like to do kind of a skill review and also kind of a comparison between this skill and another skill. When I did Mantra of Recall, I got a very good comment saying, well, you know, Alex, Mantra of Recall just kind of sucks. It's not very good. There are better skills than Mantra of Recall out there. So let's take a look. So Mantra of Recall, again, just as I mentioned in the last video, you spend 10 energy, then for 20 seconds you get nothing, and then after 20 seconds 24 energy comes back and it acts as an enchantment spell. So I really started to think a lot yesterday, okay, well, what's the difference between Mantra Recall and the other skill that this guy suggested, namely Lyssa's Aura, and why is this one better and this one's not so good? And so I really began to think, well, maybe this one's better, maybe this one's not so good, and no one ever uses it for that reason. So let's take a look. Lyssa's Aura here is another elite enchantment spell. The same cooldown duration, which is 30 seconds, but in this case, you spend 5 energy to start it up, and then for 10 seconds, you get plus 5 energy regeneration. And this enchantment will reapply itself every time you cast a spell on a foe. In other words, an offensive spell. This is pretty nice. I mean, plus 5 energy regeneration. That is really, really good. And when you run the numbers, the way to think of it to compare between Lyssa's Aura and Mantra of Recall is that plus 5 energy generation gives you X amount of energy over, say, 20 seconds, because you have to reapply it one time, so you have to spend at least one skill. So let's assume the cheapest skill out there, like say Westrel's Worry, had 5 energy, so it takes 10 energy to start it up and to maintain it up through 20 seconds. Now for plus 5 energy, you get 1 pip of energy is 1 energy every 3 seconds. So the best way to think of it is that you get 1 quote cycle every 3 seconds, and that cycle times the number of pips you have gives you the answer of how much energy you get per cycle. So for this case, in this case, 20 seconds. Let's see here. So 20 seconds, divide that by 3, gives us 6.66 cycles in that 20-second period. Times that by 5, because there's 5 pips of energy, and you get 33.33 energy in that 20-second period, minus 10, 5 for the startup, and 5 for one continuing spell, and you get a net benefit of 23 energy. That's really good, because if you look at Mantra of Recall, again, a bit more straightforward calculation, you get 24 energy minus 10 for the startup, and you get a net benefit of 14 energy at 14 inspiration, 15 at 15 inspiration. Well, that's a pretty good difference. I mean, that's a 9 energy difference in that same period of time, so why would anyone ever use Mantra of Recall? Well, looking at Lyssa's Aura, you gotta read the fine print, and that is it reapplies a spell every time you cast an offensive spell on a foe. So there's 2 things that kind of restrict you in the use of this spell. One is that it has to be a spell that you use, which means you can't use any skills, so to speak. So while this may be great for a Mesmer, for an Elementalist, and anyone who uses a lot of offensive spells in their build, this skill is great and can really just almost give you, in a sense, kind of unlimited energy, or like an always blood is power on your character all the time. That's really cool. But the thing is, you gotta be using spells, and you have to be using offensive spells. So this is a skill that would find itself a very nice home in, say, an Elementalist, or a Mesmer, or even a offensive Necromancer. But it would have a tough time being in the build of a monk, like we see here, because while they may use spells, they're not offensive in nature if they're a healing monk or a protection monk. So that's one important consideration. The second important consideration is that unlike Magic Recall, there's no end effect to Lyssa's aura. So if this enchantment gets shattered or stripped in any way, you get 0. There's nothing for it. So in the case of Magic Recall, when this one gets broken or shattered, you still get the energy back. You may not get it at the exact time, but usually you're waiting anyways at that point. So you always get your energy back, which is great. And the way to think of it is that Magic Recall is an energy hiding type of skill. So this works really well in combining with skills that either consume all of your energy or if you're under a lot of energy denial in an engagement. So skills such as Ether Lord, Rebirth, Purge Signet, things like that work really well with Magic Recall because you can hide your energy, then activate those skills, and then that energy comes back to you. So the best way to do it is cast the skill, then when the skill's about to run out or close to run out, you can use Purge Signet, you can use Ether Lord, or you can use Rebirth, and boom, you lose all your energy, and then you get 24 energy back whenever this skill ends. With Lyssa's aura, you're still going to lose all your energy, but you're going to start way back at 0. And yeah, true, you can get it back, but it's going to take a bit more time to do so. And that's assuming it, you're able to cast another offensive spell when you do it. Let's see. So that is another main consideration between these two skills. But as promised, Lyssa's aura, let's take a look. Again, this can be captured in the Prophecies campaign from one of the 4 celestial dragons, which is pretty cool. And it's not that hard to get. I was able to get it fairly quickly. But let's take a look at it in action. All right, I'm going to put on hard mode. I got my team here, and let's go take a look. Let's see, just want to make sure we're all squared away. Okay, yep. That's gonna be a pretty challenging area, so let's go take a look see. But if this is as effective as it says on the tin, then we should get a lot of use out. Scan skill board, all illusion skills, and 2 inspiration skills. And I have inspiration at 14, illusion at 13, as casting is at 9. And let's see here. Illusion. Yep. Be careful not to over aggro. Always consideration here. These. It was a little tricky trying to get across the rooftops here. Split. Mage, Ritualist, Knight, Mage. I'm gonna shut down the Ritualist here. Okay, here we go. She already bought it. see, energy was not a problem whatsoever, even though my henchie's kind of all bit the dust. So that just kind of cut me down pretty darn quickly. Yeah. Oh well. I'll probably just suicide in this group. But you saw kind of how it worked. I hit the skill, and I get +5 energy, and that energy stays on all the time, which is really nice. Let's see here, Mesmer versus. We'll just see what we can do here. Make sure. That didn't go great, but you saw how the skill worked. Actually, I'm going to get a hard res. Mesmer Elite. Yeah, I didn't really use Spirit. I really like Spirit Shackles. It's a great skill. And you know, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to put that right there. Move this over here, and actually I'm gonna get rid of Illusion of Weakness and put in my Rebirth skill. Take whatever points are left. Let's see, Rebirth. There we go. Okay. That right there gives you an idea of how the skill works. It's again, it's a very simple skill. Again, I'm thinking about going out and just, you know, trying again, but there's almost really no point. Energy just doesn't become a problem anymore. It's that good. And especially when I'm casting, you know, 10 energy skills, 5 energy skills, 5 energy skills. You know, there's not hardly any kind of energy pressure whatsoever. Now, if I was doing more expensive skills, namely ones in the Elementalist line, then that can be an issue. Well, no, not an issue. Then it works really well, because then, you know, the skills such as Rocket's Invocation, things like that, which is a 25 energy skill, you know, that 25 energy can be received back from Lyssa's aura very, very quickly. It's important, though, you have very fast casting skills that, or fast recharge skills that can keep Lyssa's aura going. So one thing to be careful of is skills with very long recharge times, because if you have too many of those on your skill bar, then you can easily have Lyssa's aura time out, and that's gone, and it's not there when you think it's there. So it's always good to have some offensive spells, again I said skills, but it's actually spells on your bars that is very quick, such as Wastrel's Worry, Images of Remorse, or if you're an Elementalist, you know, Ice Spear, or Stone Daggers, or Flare, or Lava Arrows, things like that. Really good, very fast casting skills. So again, Lyssa's Aura, very good skill, particularly if you're an Elementalist, where offensive spells is just their bread and butter. I mean, that's just how they roll. It's offensive spells, and you just use it over and over and over again. And the other key thing to remember with Lyssa's Aura is that when you're an Elementalist, you're firing off offensive skills at the very start of the engagement. While if you're a monk, you're usually not healing or protecting right at the start of the engagement, unless, of course, you're getting really, really spiked and you have no choice. There's usually like a 5 or 6 second delay before you start healing or protecting on a large scale. So those extra pips of energy, those 5 extra pips of energy, really don't go anywhere. It's just you're at maximum energy and they just stay there, and there's no reason to use a skill until until you really need it. And so firing the skill before an engagement starts, like we were doing with Magic Recall in the previous field, it's a little bit of a waste, and you're just burning time at that point. And you also have to make it work in a healing and a protection monk sense. You have to use at least one slot in your build for just a fast casting offensive skill that can keep recharging, and you're moving back and forth, and it's a lot of micromanagement that you have to do. So anyways, that's Lyssa's aura. Now let's take a look at Magic Recall and take another look at it and see how it works, not with a Mesmer, but with a monk, because I captured it yesterday and I want to try it out. Okay, here we are in Olafstead in the Iron North campaign with my monk, and as you can see here, I have Magic Recall. Now the way I split this points out is 10 in Inspiration, 15 in Protection Prayers, and 11 in Divine Favor. And here's my skill bar. So Magic Recall, again, I explained it last time, so I'm not going to explain it again. Again, pretty simple skill, but it's how it combines with everything that is very important. And one skill you see here is Contemplation of Purity. Contemplation of Purity is a very good skill for oneself, especially when they have enchantments. And because I have Magic Recall and it's an enchantment, not a stance, even though it has kind of that icon to it, it's actually an enchantment spell. When I trigger this, it will make use of Magic Recall, and I will gain not just the energy from Magic Recall, but also 59 health, I'll lose 1 hex, and I lose 1 condition. So that's pretty cool. And that's not stacking any other of these enchantments on myself, which will, double the effect, basically up to 6 hexes, or eliminating up to 6 hexes and conditions. So I can use Guardian, I can use Reversal Fortune, or I can use Protective Spirit. Again, Life Bond, I can't use on myself. So that is pretty nice. When I need to, I don't have to use this, but it's a nice option there in case I do need to use it and I need that energy back quickly. Again, I lose another 5, so the net benefit will be, frankly, 5 energy, but I also get a net benefit of losing 1 hex, 1 condition, and 59 health. The other thing is I use Purge Signet. Now, Purge Signet I never use because it's such an onerous skill to use. It's a very good signet, but it has such a side effect that almost no one uses it. Here, however, maybe we can. Again, it's a signet, removes all hexes and all conditions on an ally, but you lose 10 energy for each hex in each condition. Ouch, because there can be a lot of hexes and a lot of conditions on one ally that have to be removed. Now, the thing about Purge Signet, though, is that since it is a signet, it can help eliminate certain hexes that can trigger if you trigger the spell, namely backfire. Say backfire, diversion, a lot of the Mesmer stuff that can be real effective. What's the like blood leech, or life leech? I forgot the exact same name, but a lot of the necromancer elite skills that do the same thing. This can eliminate those skills without triggering those skills, so that's a very important thing to have when you have a signet that can do something like this, is that you're not going to take the effects from, say, backfire when you use the Purge Signet. But again, when you use this signet, just assume all your energy is going to be out the door. Now, I'm using kind of a bonding type of monk. It's going to be a life bond monk, and I have Blessed Signet here. So I'm going to have 2 skills that deal with energy management: Blessed Signet and Magic Recall. But Blessed Signet, again, it's got a 10-second recharge time, and it's got a 2-second activation time. That's pretty long, especially in consideration with being a prop monk, and you have to get these spells off very, very quickly. A quarter-second cast time, things like that. So these are my 3 kind of workhorse skills. It's going to be Guardian, Reversal Fortune, and Protective Spirit, also along with Life Bond. So there's a pretty nasty group of ice imps just right down here by the lake. So we're going to go by the lake and see if we can get into trouble. Again, I got my heroes. I'm going to... So I usually turn off Meteor Shower. And, you know, with Vec, I always find Vec just running out of energy far too quickly. I think it's because of the lightning orbs. So he's got lightning javelin. Does he doesn't really have a whole lot of overcast skills, so I'm not going to worry about overcast. Shell shock. You know, I like shell shock. This is, yeah, give a cracked armor. Oh, and this gives a cracked armor too. Don't need that. I need to do it twice. I need some more air magic skills. Every charge, I have that. Target foe. Take an additional 72. Ooh, actually, that could work well. Work well with my fire magic elementalist. She does a lot of burning. Okay. I don't know if they'll coordinate with each other, but we'll see. And that's a 5-second one. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Okay, let's grab... I usually like to grab an archer, at least with this team. Okay, so we got Mantra Recall, and let's see what the difference is. Again, first of all, I'm a monk, so I don't have any offensive spells in this build at all. Not just offensive skills, but offensive spells. So this is what Mantra Recall can really shine with. Here we go. And you know what? I know there's not a whole lot of enchantment removal, so I'm going to just do some pre-bonding here. Get my squishies some protection. Caitlin, since she's always using. And she uses Blood Ritual on me, which helps too. So now I don't have any energy regeneration, but I use my Blessed Signet. So actually I can just use my Magic Recall now. But this one I'm not going to go into an engagement right away. Again, it's 20 seconds, it will give me back my energy. Zoom. There it is. Oop. And we got some enemies here, so let's see what we can do. Not a whole lot of damage, but from them, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, and down. Okay, now there's just a lot of annoying ice imps by this lake. So this is where we can see if this setup will really work or not. And I'm gonna hit Magic Recall, and let's go. Ooh. Ooh. And you know what? I'm gonna get rid of that. Just nasty snares. Okay. I do have hex removal on another member of our team, and there it is again. And now I'm gonna get rid of it again. Cool. Alright, Magic Recall back up. We're just chasing around the bad guys now. Get some energy up. And boom. And the nice thing about Magic Recall in this setup is I don't have to keep spamming Blessed Signet over and over and over again. And that can be really useful, particularly if you're hitting an area where there's some denial in the use of signets, such as Primal Echoes, which is a nature ritual. Primal Echoes can just ruin your day in this build. It can just really mess you up because it costs 10 energy to use each signet. Ugh, that's pretty nasty. Well, Mandatory Recall goes around that. Let's get in the lake here. Alright, there we go. Store that up. Okay, he likes to focus on me, so put some good stuff on me, and here we go. I'll use Pertinent, get that off of me. There you go. Okay. Fire this off again. And here we go. Ooh, that. Oh man, I got really focused down. Okay. Really should have hit Contemplation of Purity. Okay, so back up. I don't know why I didn't use Contemplation Purity and not Signet. Let's get these bonds back up. There we go. Okay. There we go. Alright. Let's try this again. Yeah, those ice imps move very, very quickly. There. That time I did it correctly. Man, they still hate me. But that's how I got my deep freeze off last time. And that time I used Contemplation Purity, which I should have done the first time. And now put that on. I'm just gonna pre-bond myself. Ah, jeez. Okay, if you have a second, always fire off Blessed Signet and get your energy back, even if you got Mantra Recall up. That should be about it for these guys. See there, I used the Contemplation of Purity just to get off that Mind Freeze, which just it really is a pretty nasty snare, especially when they combine it with their Ice Trident. So let's take a look here. And there we go. Okay, well, that was a decent demonstration. I don't know if it was terribly great, but it shows some of the combined aspects of using Magic Recall with Contemplation and Purity, especially when I used to get that brain freeze or mind freeze off. It's a good way to get it off. And here's some Minotaurs. I'll try this. See if we can do any better with these guys. Ooh, knocked down. That's okay. So the Guardian comes in. And down they go. Okay. So that is Magic Recall in a monk. It is very nice in a monk, I must admit. Lyssa's Aura, I'd always have to be switching to an offensive spell and then back to a defensive skill. And that's a pretty high burn rate, especially when you're doing bonding like this and you don't have any energy generation at all, period. Then it becomes a bit more difficult. Even though you get that +5 energy. Yeah, I know that doesn't really make sense, but trust me, it is more difficult because you're trying to kind of switch modes in your mind. Okay, did I use an offensive spell? Did I not use an offensive spell? And you have to kind of stop healing or protecting, once every 10 seconds in order to do that. And you have a 1-second cast time. And that means you're not healing, you're only healing 9 seconds out of 10, pretty much. Yeah, we'll get rid of that. Okay. Should have got the Norn blessing, but I didn't. Okay, let's head back to Olafstead. Okay, so that's Lyssa's Aura and Mantra of Recall, used in 2 different scenarios. Again, Lyssa's Aura, very nice skill, very good offensive skill, so it's very good if you're just slinging offensive skills all over the place. Mantra of Recall, again, it can be used on just about any other character, either a monk, like I did in this case, which doesn't have any offensive skills, or can be used by someone that's like a ranger or a dervish. Again, someone that uses offensive skills, but not so much offensive spells, things like that. So that's pretty cool. So that's the difference between the two. So which skill is better? Well, that comes down to really, it depends. And when you deal with a situation of it depends, that really is a hallmark of a great game. And I think that's one of the strengths of Guild Wars, is that you get into these big discussions, okay, which one is better? And it always comes down to it depends. And that's what I really love about Guild Wars. So for example, when I did my review of Magic Recall, when someone said, oh, I don't quite agree, they didn't come on just say, oh, okay, this skill sucks and get the heck out of here. No, they said, no, this is why I wouldn't use it. And I get this manifesto, this huge essay on a comment section in YouTube in the Guild Wars New Hope Facebook page. And it's really well done. And that's one of the things I really like about you guys, is that you can disagree with the skill, but you give me really good reasons why, and it makes me think, okay, is that really true? And in this case, that's when I went back and I looked between Magic Recall and Lyssa's Aura, and I'm like, okay, yeah, from a pure number standpoint, Lyssa's Aura is a better skill, elite skill, in a pure energy standpoint. But Magic Recall is more versatile and you can do more things with it, and is not restricted to just offensive spellcasting type of professions. Now you could be in a support role, or you can be someone that uses teardowns or energy draining type of stuff, and it can get it back. Particularly with teardowns, the energy draining, it's a reason, but it's not a great reason in comparison to the two. But the teardowns with this skill, and the fact that it can be used either with attack skills or with support spells makes this one stand out in those situations well. Again, with Lyssa's Aura, if you're an offensive spell casting type of role, it's more better for that role, and I think you'll get a lot more mileage out of it. So anyways, that's my review of Lyssa's Aura, and also a comparison between Lyssa's Aura and Magic of Recall. Again, Lyssa's Aura, very good for elementalists and offensive mesmers. Magic of Recall, very good for anyone that uses offensive skills but not spells, or support spells, particularly monks, especially with Contemplation of Purity. Those two just go together like bread and butter, or peanut butter and jam, or whatever you want to combine it with. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gives you some more ideas on how to use these two skills, when to use them, where to use them, and let me know your feedback. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll be sure to do some more videos for you. Thank you very much, and take care.